Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Today, I'm recalling some of my youth and times as Peter's son, together with impressions of Dad at work and memories of Spring Hill, and what it meant to be living above the shop, so to speak. Dad's first practice was in 1947 in Ardglass, Northern Ireland, and while there, very good, thank you. While there, he replied to an appointment advertisement placed by the late Dr. Hubert Pym, asking for an assistant to come to Sunning Common and set up a branch surgery. And so Spring Hill was built with the surgery attached around 1950. Now, the standout memory from home is of a steady stream of phone calls through our mini exchange, many answered by my late mother Pat when Dad was in surgery or out on calls. In fact, she spent many hours holding the fort for Dad. All phone calls demanded great quietness from the family as details were received and advice given. This curb on riotous activity also extended to surgery times, and as children will, this was not always adhered to, so belated apologies to all the medics and patients who we undoubtedly disturbed. So this was a very early reason to build a separate health centre. Other early memories sometimes included re-rolling laundered bandages, washing out medicine bottles, used ones, because it was the time of austerity. And with some shop goods still on the ration, it was quite normal back then to do recycling. And of course, dear Papa never changed the habit. Everything was saved as it might be useful. On some days in my early youth, I would go out on rounds with Dad, keeping him company in the car, and started to get to know other villages and settlements, notably Binfield Heath, Borough Court, Kingwood Common, Bishopswood Campden Farm and Kennyland School. I shan't be long could sometimes mean 30 to 50 minutes, though many calls were quicker, while I remained patiently sitting in the old standard vanguard. Night calls initiated another standard routine which we all got quite used to and can be audibly recalled. Phone ringing, bathroom visited, lights on in the yard, back door unlocked. Striding up the yard, garage door unlocked, sliding door clacking in the tracks, car starting and out, sliding door closed, and then after a peaceful interlude, all the same sounds again as Dad returned. It could be any o'clock he was needed, and on busy nights it may recur once or twice more, which was quite trying if he had already changed back for bed before the next caller rang. But as always, it was the patient in need who counted, which is how it should be, of course. Daytime surgeries at Spring Hill were often busy, with a drive full of cars in addition to all those who walked, rode bikes, or even caught the bus. Consultations sometimes took longer than today's prescribed 10 minutes, so Father justifiably gained a reputation for always being thorough, but quite often late. There was a popular theory that the wooden seats of the waiting room chairs became harder the further behind time Doc H was running. And many of the calls, which the late dear Betty Brindley answered, were in fact inquiries as to the extent of that lateness, and a plea to find out when they should actually arrive at the surgery as opposed to their booked time. Apart from walking, when he could spare the time, Pa sustained a fine fitness level over many years, with all the labour associated with a solid fuel larder and drawing room fire, And as you'd expect from a busy man, this was all executed at pace, whether riddling or filling coke hods. Gardening also included extensive hedge cutting at St John's Church or making and mending in the workshop. This all helped provide Dad with stamina required for night calls and also his customary time for dealing with correspondence, usually into the small hours, almost every night, occasionally alternating with some astronomy on a quieter night, or if overcast, a self-taught session on the piano, often with some singing. In early years, he used to play records on his home-assembled gramophone, and when he could get there, he enjoyed singing with the South Chiltern Choral Society. My father was not good at sitting still on a sofa or a beach for long. On holiday, we all enjoyed lots of walking, reading, or dependent on where we were staying, helping farmers, fishermen, or other boatmen, because boats and shipping had always fascinated Dad. In fact, in his youth, he built his own rowing boat in Castle, Northern Ireland, which he took to sea. And vessels became subjects which he recorded in his paintings, black and white photographs, and in the model ships which he built, one of which came from Northern Ireland in a large crate, incomplete, in 1950, and Father didn't finish it until well after his retirement. An occasional foray to fly fish for trout on some loch or stream rounds off Father's watery pursuits. While at school, Peter enjoyed making radio sets. This continued and expanded at Spring Hill to include completing his first TV set by the dawn of the Queen's coronation. So we were all able to watch the event in grateful fascination. Also at school, Father enjoyed astronomy, taking his moonshots, which naturally he developed himself, as photography was another strength. In later life, Dad put his engineering skills to use, building his own telescopes and an observatory, where he spent many quiet hours studying the heavens. From 1935, following the loss of his parents when only 15, Father showed tremendous character, perseverance, and strength of purpose in acquiring all these new skills, techniques, and hobbies. All in all, during his working life, and for many years after retirement, he possessed remarkable energy, was technically adept, and had profound knowledge about many things at various levels. Above all, he was creative and innovative, two rich veins of talent which endured into his dotage. Indeed, he was able to recite some poetry from memory until at least 100. On another practical note, when out on rounds, he was not only able to mend patients, but if necessary, their bedside lights or teasmates. So pliers and screwdriver were rumoured to lie cheek by jowl with medicines and stethoscope in his medical bag. While growing up, I didn't see a great deal of my father, as work was almost without exception a priority, and I was away at school, where aged 10 or 11 we all suffered from a measles epidemic, which resulted in the school having to close for a few weeks. On the appointed collection day, all boys were up early and dressed, but all feeling pretty rough, but expectant for their parents' arrival and pickup. By mid-afternoon, I was the only boy left in the dorm. Eventually, Father, who needless to say was very busy, did arrive around 5 p.m. The point of this story being that no one was immune to the negative effects of delay. But equally, everything comes to he who waits. But this is rather about me, not him, so I should say that all the above has been related with love for my old dad, who was his own man and did things his way, but usually for everyone else's benefit. With most of his patients, he had a great interest in their family as a whole, and all that they did in life, which also emphasised his compassionate nature. In crowds, Father was never entirely comfortable, or at large party events. Nonetheless, I'm sure he's keeping an eye on today's milestone celebrations with some degree of satisfaction that SCHC is still doing the job for which it was funded and built. And it is, of course, today's partners and all their staff who are key to this caring continuity. Thank you.